honestly super easy to do. Like, I'm not going on an elimination diet, and I've proved that you don't have to get rid of everything in your life. So I want to personally invite you to Mind Body Balance. We are starting another session on November 29th. And this is your time to not let the holidays stress you out any longer. In fact, it is time to stop stressing altogether and learning what true balance really is. So in my group and one-on-one coaching program that is about 3.5 months, it's 15 weeks long. Together, we will work on truly connecting your body and your mind. And throughout the program, we are talking about nutrition, we are talking about exercise, but most importantly, we're talking about mindfulness and how that plays into overall health and well-being. And I support you step by step in creating a sustainable lifestyle that pairs with your current lifestyle and pairs with what you really want for yourself. This is not about a complete overhaul. This is about truly learning who you are, what you want, and how to make that happen and have optimal health. And I just want to share with you a little story about myself because I am proof, along with my other clients who have also said the same thing, that they're learning that small changes actually do matter, and they don't have to get stressed out over working out 6 days a week or eating clean or meditating all day long. They've learned that they can actually have drastic improvements in their health, their quality of life, by making sustainable small changes consistently over time. So I want to share just my personal story, which I have not shared this yet, and I'm actually going into more detail about this in a longer video on my YouTube channel soon, all about how I recently was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So I know a lot of you know that I have hypothyroidism. I've had that for many years now, probably like 7 or 8 is when I had my first diagnosis, but never was officially diagnosed with autoimmune. I seriously randomly got this diagnosis, wasn't even looking for it. It was kind of weird how it all came out, so definitely check that out. When it comes out, I'll share it here on my newsletter and let you know when that comes out if you're interested in learning a little bit more about how it all came about. But the point is, I did get an official autoimmune diagnosis, which is not my first autoimmune diagnosis, and now it makes more sense about my first autoimmune diagnosis. In fact, this checks off a lot of my boxes of these weird unrelated symptoms that I've had. So anyway, there's more information in that when I share the other video a little bit more in depth about Hashimoto's in general. But I just want to share that what I did in 6 weeks made a huge improvement in not only the numbers through my lab work and ultimately how I felt. So one of the biggest things that I was still struggling with, even though I have been taking medication for the hyperthyroidism and I've been exercising and for the most part really eating well, making sure that I'm managing, just sleep and different things in my life. But I needed to go a little bit further. I had to go a little bit more. And this is the thing, like in your journey, you will get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And you're going to kind of continuing making these small things over time so you can always feel a little bit better, right? But never have to do anything perfectly, which I'm about to prove to you. So when I got the official diagnosis, I decided to make a few changes of some things that I kind of had already known that I was already working on a little bit, but I was like, I'm going to go a little bit more. So one of the first things is making a dietary change. So I went 100% gluten-free. I was about 90-95% gluten-free already. I decided to go 100% gluten-free because I know for me, gluten makes me tired and makes me more susceptible to pain, like makes my pain worse, so I should just avoid it altogether now. And it's honestly super easy to do. Like, I'm not going on an elimination diet, and I've proved that you don't have to get rid of everything in your life. There might just be some things that you want to avoid or get rid of, or just limit, because for a long time, just limiting them really helped me out. But this diagnosis just made me like want to go a little bit more in depth, if that makes sense. So anyways, I took out gluten. Then I decided that my adrenals definitely need a break, and instead of cutting out caffeine completely, I limited myself to just 2 cups of caffeine per day, which is about like 200 or 250 milligrams of caffeine per day. Didn't put limitations on time. Obviously, I'm not drinking it before I go to bed, but I wasn't worried about the timing. I just had overall, like, this is how much I'm going to have, because caffeine does stress your adrenals, but you don't have to completely take it out because there's actually some health benefits in organic coffee. So that's what I like, and it's like part of the ritual, you know what I mean? You like it, so I'm going to keep that. Something else that I did is made sure that I got close as possible to 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I was pretty good about this, but I noticed myself like allowing myself to have more of those 6 hour days. Like, you're never going to be perfect, and it's okay to have like one day where you only get 6 hours of sleep. But like, once you're like, well, I'm feeling good, so I can cut out that hour, I cut out that hour, cut out that hour. And it's like, no, I got to like get better at that. So I made that little change. And then I also decided to take some stuff off my list, because your girl has a lot of dreams and desires and lots of things that I want to do, both like personally, both, you know, in business, in families, just a lot of things that I want to do. And I just had to sit down with myself and come to terms with, number one, why I was actually feeling like I needed to do or wanted to do all these things. And secondly, to be okay with just surrendering a couple of things and taking that stress off of me of these things I wanted to do. And so I did that. I just made simple little changes in just few different areas of life. You know, I did a little bit of, you know, something that I was consuming. I did a little bit of some energy I was giving, and a little bit of just that being and that mindfulness piece. So with those changes, I had my blood work. So when I first went and had this the diagnosis, I had my doctor, who was very reluctant to do this, but you got to be your own advocate and you've got to speak up for yourself and ask for what you need from your doctors. But I had her run my antibody test again. And a year ago, when it was measured and I wasn't even told about it, it was at 2,300, when the normal range is up to 5.5. So it was up there. And so I had her rerun it, and even though she was reluctant, says it doesn't change, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, I just want to know, like, I like data, you know, I'm very into having data and also just trusting my intuition. Like, I want to combine knowledge and intuition. Like, it's super important, right? So I had her check it. Well, this time it came back 3,600. So it got worse. And to me, that's why I was like, well, I'm going to make these changes, because it's gotten worse. And I had experienced way more fatigue than I had ever. And so I'm like, I noticed myself, and the data shows that it was like getting worse. So I was like, I got to check this right now. And so I made those few changes I just mentioned, and I went back to the doctor 6 weeks later, which is about a week or so ago, and had them check it again, which she, again, was reluctant to check it, but I was like, I need you to check it, and she finally did check it. Comes back that his antibodies were down to 1,900, which is significant. They almost dropped in half, just by a few little changes that I made, and not completely cutting out anything. Like, even though I did completely cut out gluten, I gotta be honest, I still had some soy sauce when I went to the Chinese restaurant, which has gluten in it, and I still had meatballs one day and accidentally had some gluten. So I didn't even really do that 100% perfectly, but it was like very, very, very minimal amounts of gluten, you know? So the point of this is, you don't have to completely overhaul your life. And I know there's a lot of you who think I have to do it all. And if I can't do it all, then I'm doing nothing, because I have to do it all because that's what's going to get me the results. But it's not true. You can make small changes over time that give you big, big results. I mean, one of my clients lost 6 pounds in 7 weeks without even really trying. She didn't track, she didn't do anything. She just became more mindful, and she didn't cut out anything. Like, I am all about healthy eating, but I'm not about clean eating. There's no bad, good, dirty foods, clean foods, whatever. I'm all about exercising, but we start where you're at. We're not gonna like be running a marathon in 2 months, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna start with like where you are and what can be incorporated into your life. And most of all, we're going to work on how we're thinking and how we're feeling, because that is what's important. So I highly encourage you to read a little bit more about it, to reserve your spot, because spaces are limited, because again, this is a group and one-on-one program. So we work very closely together, and so I just can't take too many people on at once. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have an awesome day, and I hope to see you in Mind Body Balance at the end of the month.